This is a message for all people in the world. It's time to stop acting, stop pretending as if you want peace. This is not going to be my usual sort of energy in this channel that you are watching. I'm probably going to speak about some things that are esoteric, maybe, most probably. But everything I'm going to say is going to be truth. As you know, I deem that everything I talk about on this channel is about truth when we're talking about what the truth is. If you're anything like me, in the morning when you wake up and you don't have much to do, you pick up your mobile phone and you watch a few videos. YouTube, TikTok, whatever. 5 minutes or whatever. I stumbled across a debate between Israelis and Palestinians. Whose right is the right one? Who really has ownership to the land? Who is the aggressor? Who's the oppressed? We all know of this conflict. And I'm watching the debate and I'm just annoyed right now. Like the energy that I had watching that video, I purposely didn't allow it to pass. I put on this video to talk to you with this energy. It's not just them, it's all people. Everybody's acting like they really want change, like they really want peace. Do you really? If you're going to base your life upon truth, then all we will have is peace. Because truth is mono. Truths are relative. Your truth versus my truth. For example, your truth is you like the color blue more than I like the color red, etc. You like the color orange more than I like the color orange, or whatever. Your name is Peter, my name is Larry. Those are relative truths. Why? Because they are relative to a specific person or specific, to go a bit deeper, aspect of reality. For example, it's a truth, a relative truth, that rocks are harder than foam. But in deeper truth, if we go close into the foam, deep into the rock and the foam, what do we find? Atoms, the same thing. Even deeper, we find space, we find nothingness. So relative to perception, mental perception, yes, this is hard, this is soft. Relative. But we're going deep to truth, because the only way we're going to reach happiness and peace with the whole world is if we base our lives, our decisions, our beliefs upon truth. Because there is no debate with truth. There is only debate with the mental perception, perspectives of the world, which is fine. There's room for that. And we need relative perspectives as well. Of course. That's the only reason I can even speak to you, because I'm having relative perspectives other than yours. That's the only reason I can say different words to you, because they're relative to my perspective. But with my perspective, I can still get to the source and speak from the source of truth that you will understand. So do you really want peace? Do you really want to end racism, end bigotry, end sexism, end supremacy thoughts, end violence, unnecessary violence? Are you really about that world? Do you really want to ascend to this dimension? Be honest now in this video, because we've been doing this for too long, by my estimation. I didn't always know what I know, relatively speaking. If you followed me for a certain amount of time, you know, as I say, I had a absolutely huge life-changing awakening 4 years ago. The most beautiful experience that is beyond the words. Whenever I try to speak about it, I go silent because it's beyond words. So yes, if you are about truth, then listen to this video, please. If you are about actually solving problems, stop ignoring truth now. I'm holding everybody accountable, all of us. Unless you are, I will let you off if you are under the age, I'll say 22, 23. I'll let you off. Yeah? Not because you don't have access to truth, but as it is within life, we do go through lots of changes and situations, and the mind is still trying to understand its identity. I understand all that, and especially if you've been born in a non-spiritual community or household, then you have it's not as easy to arrive to truth. But definitely there are teenagers who understand what I'm talking about as well. Okay, anybody older, no, I'm holding you accountable now. There's way too much information around. Way too much. Not just myself, of course not. Way too much information around to not do this inner work, to not do this outer work, to not understand that truth is that which never changes. I'm not coming at you soft on this particular video. No. Pretty much every single other video, yes. It's a different energy, but this is a part of duality. I'm being an example to you that you don't have to hold back your energy all the time. So some of you will appreciate this energy that you're feeling right now. Some of you will not. The fact is, this is about truth. So let's get back to this truth. If we really want to heal the world, as I say, we have to base our lives upon truth. So is it true for you? Here is a true or false quiz, let's say, for you. Is it true that, yes, you, I'm speaking to you, is it true that you don't know everything? Is it true that this planet, as far as you know, is older than you? Is it true that you were once a baby? Is it true that you were given or chose a name for yourself? Is it true that you were given or chose an identity for yourself? You are this, you are black, you are white, you are Christian, you are Muslim, you are Israeli, you are Palestinian, you are Zulu, you are pagan, etc. Is it true that without your identity, you still exist? Not as your identity self, of course, but you still exist as a being. For example, if you changed your name or decided to not call yourself a name, like Prince did once, the artist, you would still exist. You don't have to have a label that we call a name for you to exist, for you to experience the world. Is it true that you don't have to have words, period, to experience the world, just as you did as a baby? If it's true that this planet is older than you, then how can you say you have right to this land or that land? How is that possible? If the earth is showing you it all belongs to it, or to her, as you like to call it, to Gaia, to Pachamama, not to people, to the earth itself. So to try and say this is literally my birthright is false, isn't it? It's not true. It's a relative truth because you believe it within your ideology. Again, I'm talking to anybody. who has all this conflict over land, which results in war and people killing each other, babies dying. This is not philosophical. We know this. How many countries are being bombed over territorial belief systems that are all in the mind? Because the planet is older than everybody's mind. Pachamama, Gaia, Earth, the planet, it's itself's. It's not ours. We can't claim land as an actual truth. Remember, truth we're talking about, not relative truths. Let's be honest. No one has claim to any part of the land. No one. Not one single person. It's all the earth's. We are born, we die. We are born, we die. What remains? The earth. And it goes to show you just how ridiculous it is on an even more minute level. So even smaller than nationality, the whole postcode wars on the streets. And those postcodes weren't even those postcodes a certain amount of years ago, let alone the land itself was labelled the country. It was labelled America, England, France, whatever. Is it true that no matter what you say you are, what you essentially are must always be what you truly are? Now, you might not know what you essentially are, okay, but just as a blanket statement, isn't it true that what is essentially you must always be essentially you? Otherwise, it was not essential. For example, your name, as I said earlier, is not essentially you because you can change it. Yet essential, that which must be for you to be. Stop this lying. I own this rock. I own this land. It's our land. It's written in our book. Not even one holy book is as old as the earth. Not one. Not one word. Nothing precedes earth. And I'm still talking on the relative level, because we're going to go even deeper. But most people can understand and agree with this, I'm sure, at least, that the earth, if we're going to talk in terms of linear time, is older than everybody. Therefore, nobody actually, in truth, my friends, in truth, can claim ownership to a land. Not in truth, only relative, only in your ideas, your ideology. So when we have these debates, these arguments, no, this is my place. It's written right here. That's an ideology. Be truthful. Stop this lying. Stop this lying. It's not in truth. It's relative. It's your ideology. In truth, nobody owns any land. That's truth. In truth, we all want happiness. That's truth. In truth, we can all have happiness if we live our life based on truth. Because then there's no debate. And again, of course, there is time for the relative truths. But it must be based upon the foundation of what truth actually is, that which never changes, not the mental ideas. We need to have a good foundation. Doesn't a house need a good foundation for it to be a strong house? We're basing our house of this paradigm upon shaky ground. I think this, I think that. He said this, she said that. This scholar said this scholar said that. This scientist said this scientist said that. My teacher, my mom, my dad. And they're getting it from other people and they're getting it from other people. There's no end to that type of debate because it's not truth. Capital T, my friends. Is it true that you can appreciate culture without having to destroy it? Blanket statement. Is it true that you can understand that, essentially speaking, as I'm implying and as I've said in most of not all of my videos, is it true that, essentially speaking, if you are the truth of experience, whether you have a mind, whether you have identity, or not, if it's true that you don't need your identity to exist, to physically exist, if it's true, then isn't it also true that no matter what your culture is, it's still a surface level of what you truly are? I mean, this is going to be ruffling a lot of feathers, but isn't it actually true that even culture is created? Nothing wrong with that, remember. But if it's true, then again, when we are saying, this is my culture, relatively speaking, yes, and that's fine, and we appreciate each other's cultures. But when it comes to the point of missing the point of appreciation, then it comes into killing and stealing and fights unnecessarily. Then it becomes wayward from the truth that, fundamentally speaking, we are all one. Let's not lose our mind so much in this is mine, this is mine, this is mine rhetoric, to the point that we lose our sense of what's really true, which is that we are all expressions of consciousness. Let's get into that now. Because isn't it true that what we label pure consciousness, it's just a label, that which doesn't change throughout your years. You was once 5 years old, you was once 6 years old, you are now the age you are now. So your body wasn't essentially you, it changed. Your experiences were not essentially you, they changed. Every part of your body at 5 years old and your mind changed in some way. Grew, shrunk, different thoughts, different perceptions. Of course, it's impossible to not have experience. That's fine. But the question is, what was the consistency that allows you to know that you are still you from when you was 5 to 6 to the age you are now? The consistency was not the body, it changed. Not your thoughts, they changed all the time. Your perceptions changed all the time. So what was the consistency? It's what we label pure consciousness. That true you. Now that did not share the limits of your body. It did not change with your perceptions. It did not change with your age. You had a happy birthday moment. It didn't change from birthday to birthday. It was still just that constant background that allows you to always know you are you, but that you is not limited to your identity because it changes. Your body, it changes. Your thoughts, they change. Your perceptions, they change. It's so pure and beautiful because it allows all of this to be, that it doesn't change with the body-mind construct. If it's true that that's what you are, and that's what I am, that's what the black person, the white person, the Arab, the Israeli, the Muslim, the Christian, the woman, the man, the boy, the girl, the monk, the Buddhist, the Hare Krishna, if it's true that that's what we all are essentially, then isn't it true that we are all one? Therefore, all of these problems are coming from ideology of the mind. So you can't say it's true that this is yours, that is yours. Not true. only relatively. So then, knowing this, it's now down to you. This is what I'm saying, I'm putting it on you. When you know all of this, yet still choose to fight over these things that are of the mind, that are not true, then you actually want violence. You actually want a bad world, a negative world. You actually want no peace. Stop lying, because you know this now. If you didn't know before this video, you know this. You haven't been living on truth when you are claiming this is yours, this is yours, this is right, this is wrong. All of that is relative, including right and wrong. We know this. Some people think it's right to kick people out of the land. Some people don't. And there's many examples, of course, of how we all differ when it comes to what's right and what's wrong. Some people think it's right to eat animals. Some people think it's not, etc., etc. So it's down to you now. You can't say you are living on truth with your decisions of what you are angry about, of what you are frustrated about. No. It's a lie. You're lying to yourself. And you're not allowing this beautiful dimension to expand. I mean, when I say dimension, to be honest, as I say all the time, it's about perspective. We can ascend to the so-called 5th dimension right now, the 10th dimension, whatever. It's just perception. It's not actual locations, because we are that background that doesn't change with the location. Your body moves into different locations. That background does not change. As we saw, it doesn't change with the limits of the body, with the experiences of the body mind. It's beyond all dimensions. It's so blank, so nothingness, that is all things. My time's running out, so I can't go over that too much right now. But just like how space is everywhere and nowhere, put it that way. So, stop lying. Do you really want truth or not? Do you really want peace or not? Then stop this relative truth. That's not the truth. You can't say it's the truth. Stop lying. I don't know about you, but I think it would be nice to have a peaceful world. And it's right in front of us. All we need to do is base our lives on truth. Again, the relative truths stay, because that's the Shakti of life. That's the creativity. That's the perspective. We need that. But the base layer must be truth. That this person is not your enemy. This person is not your enemy. Those people are not your enemy. No, they never had been. How could they be? When essentially they are you. When essentially they are you. And you might hear that and think, no, he's black, he's white, he's Arab, he's Persian, he's Muslim, he's Christian. No, again, that's the relative level. Nobody is that essentially. You can't be a label essentially, because it's something that you acquire. It's something that you choose to attach to. It's something that you can change. Therefore, it's not essentially or fundamentally what you are, because it simply can change. If your car is a Mercedes, it's not essentially your car. For one, other people have that car. For two, you can change it. It's just a relative truth that it's your car, because it's relative to the time. But we are beyond even time. Because remember, that blankness I spoke about, that pure consciousness, it doesn't change with the time, as I said. It's so free. Understand how beautiful that is. Or do you want more war? Understand how beautiful that is. Or do you want to just be right? You see, when we live in the delusion of misaligning relative truths as being truth, we end up fighting ourselves. And that's on the relative level and a deeper level. For example, on the relative level of mind, of perception, you can feel like your mind is attacking you. You can feel like your mind is your enemy, which to some degree, it's simply not true. Of course, it can really feel like that. So I'm not taking anything away from the experience, but it's not actually true. Your mind cannot actually attack you as if it had boxing gloves, as if it had a gun. Because then the bigger question arises, who is the one that is receiving the attacks from the mind? I thought you was the mind. So maybe you're not the mind. Do you see? But this is not a video that I want to do the self-inquiry on so much. This is a different energy video. This is a different kind of topic, but still based on that. I have many videos explaining to you what you truly are, which is distinct from the mind. So living in the delusion of placing relative truths above truth, or believing that relative truths are truth, this delusion creates this false benevolence in believing that you are doing the right thing when you hate that person, when you hate those people because of what they did, because of who they are. And that's all the ideology of what you believe they are, what you've been told they are, because essentially they are you. There's no getting around it. No matter what somebody looks like, essentially they are you. Essentially, remember that word, what it means. Essentially, the most essential aspect of them that gets their engine going, that allows them to experience life, is the same within you. That pure, to give it a label, consciousness. That is before identity. How can I say for sure? In truth, that is before identity. How can I say it? Very simply, and you can see it right now. Again, you could change your name right now. Therefore, your mental identity is not what you actually are. Pure consciousness is simply, another word, pure awareness. I know it's hard to comprehend, and I have sympathy for that to an extent. Because as I said, I'm holding everybody accountable right now in this video. Because someone's got to stop this snowballing of craziness that started in 2020 and now gone on 2021. Someone's got to. I'm not saying it has to be me. I'm saying it's a collective. But I'm giving my energy into this too. I'm not seeing enough people. When I say people, I mean the spiritual people. People are supposed to be about this life. I'm not seeing enough really getting to the root and pointing fingers, but you can't point fingers. When I'm pointing fingers at everybody. You heard me, I'll say it again. I'm pointing fingers at everybody. It's time to start doing the work. And when I say everybody, that includes obviously myself. Everybody. We are the co-creators. But some of us just won't wake up, just don't want to wake up. So others have to help them by shining the light on truth of what it actually is, because everybody's not supposed to see the truth. And that's the truth. Everybody's not supposed to. When I say see it, I mean within their relative experience. Essentially, they're always that. Just for example, to give you an example of what I mean by that, because I understand that might have sounded confusing, to say that not everybody will see the truth or not everybody will awaken, but essentially they are that truth already. A perfect example for you would be, let's say you was born in a cave. You never saw the sky because you're born in a cave and lived in a cave your whole life. So you never got to see the sky. Does that mean the sky did not exist? Of course, it doesn't mean that the sky did not exist. It just means that you, within your experience, within your lifetime, did not get to see the sky. Doesn't mean it wasn't still there. Above you. Holding space for you. To live, to experience, to be you. That's like the truth, the source. Just because you don't see it within your relative mental perspective of life, doesn't mean that it's not always present, because it is. How are we still arguing about whose land is it? How are we still arguing about racism? How are we still arguing about toxic femininity, toxic masculinity, all these things? Don't get me wrong, there's place for sure to argue about these things. These things are important. Of course. But it keeps pulling us away from that beautiful world that you actually want, that pure happiness that you actually want. Because we get distracted. Of course, we dabble and have attention on the relative, but let's also base it upon the truth that we all want, because that truth will then seep into the relative being the mind. If your mind is cloudy, you will perceive the world in a haze. If your mind is clear, you will perceive the world as free. Choice is yours. At this point, the choice is yours. So again, don't try and hear this as I'm belittling the relative experience, the dualistic experience. No, that's part of the beauty. I said it before, we need it. There is no life without duality. Literally. Because we need the experience of otherness, of difference, of relativeness. But let's base that upon the knowing that we are all one, that existence is one. Experience is just simply points of that one experience, that one background, that one consciousness. That's what experience, that's what the minds are. They are points within the oneness. But don't take the point to be the whole. A weird analogy is coming to me right now. Like, imagine holding a pencil and the tip of the pencil believes that's all it is. So when you're writing and writing and writing and the pencil is shortening, so its life is shortening, okay, then it starts to try and defend its life because its life is going to die. Yeah, it starts hating the paper because the paper is oppressing it, not realizing it's not just the tip, it's the whole pencil. And with the sharpener, it can bring it life again. So with the otherness, with the dualistic experience of the otherness, it can reveal back to the pencil it still exists. It's so much more than what it thinks it is. Because your mind is like the point, but it's so much more than it thinks it is. Because a thought itself is not infinite. Is that true or not? A thought itself is not infinite. You can't have an infinite thought. I laugh because it's so obvious, right? I hope you laugh too. Imagine if you had one infinite thought. Let's say it was house. That's the only thought you have. You then couldn't have a relative experience. You couldn't understand anything other than house. You couldn't understand that there's somebody in front of you. Because all you'd have is a house in front of you in your mind. We need to have thoughts change all the time so we can refocus our attention on other things, not just house. So yes, it's like you're fighting yourself when you fight another, because the actual truth, not relative truth, the truth is that other person is you. Essentially speaking, the other person is you. You only perceive them as other than you, as different from you, on the relative level of mental perception. But look within your direct experience. Are you not awareness itself? Primary. Are you not awareness first and body mind second? Have I not explained that to you? That you are the awareness that doesn't change when your body ages, when your body changes, when your thoughts change. There is this awareness that cannot be perceived because it's distinct. It's supposed to be unperceivable, imperceivable. It's supposed to be. But you know it's you because you know you were that 5-year-old. Because that base layer, that background, as I like to call it, is you. So all the information from that 5-year-old's experience and the experience you have now registered on that background. Yet that background is distinct from the mind, so cannot be seen. Do not try to see it. Do not try to imagine it. Just be clear that you are it, because of course, again, you are the awareness of every single changing moment. Remember, I teach the direct path. So you have to do the work as well. Look within your experience. What are you mostly? Are you mostly awareness or mostly what you are aware of? Are you mostly pure awareness, pure consciousness, or are you mostly what you are aware of or conscious of? That's the question for you. But again, I'm not holding back in this video. Of course, you are mostly pure awareness or mostly pure consciousness, because that is the background of all experiences that change. Now, experience and the background are one and the same. If I draw a line on a piece of paper, they become one, or they are one. The pixels on your camera and the image of my face is one. The screen is one with the image. But there's a distinction, of course, with the face and the rest of the screen. So if the screen is like the background and the image of the face is the experience, you could say that they are different because there is a distinction. But primarily speaking, what's mostly here present is the screen. Because the screen exists whether there's experience of a face, of a car, of a YouTube video, or not. The so-called screen of each experience, what I like to call the background, is present whether you are experiencing life in this waking state, a dream state, or what we call deep sleep state, which is no experience of anything objective. Then in a waking state, we call it deep sleep. But really, the waking state mind was not even there to even have the authority to label it. But the mind wants to label everything, even that which it cannot. I'm wondering how many of you are appreciating this energy or not. You see, I can't even go a whole video without laughing. Even though I'm trying to be serious, because the truth is, it's funny and beautiful because it's so obvious. And it's free, so it makes me laugh. Oh my gosh, guys. It's so obvious. But you wish to make it hard because you follow people who follow their ideologies but claim that it's truth when it's not. It's ideology. Ideologies change. Ideologies are not based upon the consistent truth that never changes. It's based upon ideas. It's based upon perspectives. It's based upon beliefs. It's based upon dogma. It's based upon rhetoric. It's not based upon truth. I've already explained what I mean by truth, that which never changes. So this video is not about just saying, oh, all is one, everything's going to be fine, or all is one, everything is fine. There's no bypassing in this video. I'm holding everybody accountable. And you could say, oh, well, it comes down to the education system. I know, but you've seen this video now. It comes down to the government. I know, but you've seen this video now. You have some thinking to do. Are you actually basing your apparent facts and truths on truth or relative truth? You can argue with yourself about how you need to go through the relative truths to arrive to truth. And there is truth in that, of course. But still, the truth is, it's independent of what you think, what I think, what he thinks, what she thinks. Truth. And we can get to it because we are it, as I've explained. It's that which the mind cannot even comprehend, but you know you are it because you know you were once 5 years old. How can you possibly know you were once 5 years old, but you are not now, if there isn't a consistency through the ages? A consistency, a backdrop, if you will. How could you possibly know? Because that 5-year-old you is gone, does not exist. If you could see your 5-year-old self in front of you and have a conversation, that kid would not understand you, would not recognize you as him or her. Of course not. You just be some massive adult to them, claiming to be them, with your beard or your long hair or whatever. Different people, which again is fine. That's part of the growth and experience of life, is that we do change. We're supposed to. Otherwise, we would be babies all the time. But again, when it comes to these big things like war, what are we really basing it on? Are we basing it upon truth or relative truths? Your racism, your sexism, are you basing it upon truth or relative truths? What you think is true, what you think is wrong, what do you think is right, what do you think is incorrect? These people stink. Is that relative truth or truth? Can anybody take a shower if there's a shower in front of them? Of course. Who stinks? These people are stupid. Isn't that down to education? And as I said at the start of the video, do you know everything? Can you build a rocket? And again, sticking with intelligence, isn't intelligence, again, relative? You would say that Pele is a football or soccer player genius. But can he build a rocket? I don't know. Or could he? I'm assuming he's still alive. Could Einstein bend in a football like David Beckham, top corner, which is genius? It's relative. Again, even the whole intelligence thing with the science community. Oh, this person's intelligent because they understand science or maths. There's more to intelligence than numbers and letters and regurgitating what you've been told is the answer anyway. And just putting things together. Not to mention there's also emotional intelligence. Do you beat your kids, for example? You might be able to build a rocket, but do you beat your kids? Where's the intelligence in causing that harm and trauma to your kids? How's that intelligent? Oh, well, my mum, my dad did it. Is that intelligent? Or is that going along with your relative truths of it works? When if you stop and think about it, you're causing damage to another human being who is much smaller than you. Much, much smaller than you. So yes, I hope I've got my point across. I don't have a lot of memory left in my camera, so let's wrap this up. Well, first of all, as always, if you like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. Going back to the relative world now. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because honestly, I just see it so clearly. The ego mind gets annoyed sometimes. Just wake the hell up. Live on truth, not relative truths. Understand the difference. There is a huge difference. Stop claiming to be right when you are actually only surface level right. The truth will bind us together or unify us together. The truth is literally one. And it's not in a book, because the book is relative. For all of you thinking the Bible or Quran, no, it's relative. Any word. It transcends all of these things. I hope I've said enough in this video for you to understand the essence of what I'm saying, which is truth. Have a wonderful day or evening, my fellow expressions of truth, of consciousness. Take care.